The much anticipated animated 2B upskirt shots is here. The much anticipated anime adaptation of multi-routed video game that's super confusing is here. The much anticipated anime adaptation of bullet hell waifus is here. The much anticipated anime adaptation of androids with feelings is here. Jokes aside, NieR Automata is here, and I am super excited. Now, I am not a person that has played the video games. As much as I keep wanting to, I never do. And yes, I'm already seeing the comments saying, why are you watching this? Play the video game. I know it's gonna happen. It happens every adaptation I watch. But no, I have been excited for this series, mainly because we have a lot of super fans in our community around this series. And again, like I said, it's something I've always been wanting to do. I actually meant to play the game before this came out, but yes, the end of the year and the beginning of the year is always super, super packed. But either way, I'm excited for the series. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully it's for newcomers and oldcomers alike. And I have to say, after the first episode, I am pretty intrigued and I cannot wait for more. But this is my thoughts on the first episode of NieR Automata version 1.1a, a series that is airing in the winter 2023 anime season. So let's jump right into it. Open up this series, we have 2B who is infiltrating this one enemy base. Along the way, they see a lot of resistance, and ultimately, in the end, she's the only one that actually makes it. But thankfully, Command issues somebody to work at her side, which is a nearby scanner. Scanners seem to be more designed to do hacking and scouting rather than actually full-on combat, whereas 2B is more of the soldier type that goes in and just fights. Unfortunately for 2B, right when arriving, loses her mecha suit that she used for combat, but thankfully she has a lot of other skills as well, but in the face of this gigantic crane thing is struggling, and thankfully 9S arrives just in time to take it out. And the two of them work side by side while 2B is infiltrating inside the facility. 9S is doing a lot of scouting outside. Through 9S being kind of a chatterbox because it seems like he doesn't work alongside people often, he divulges a lot of information that he's found about the area to 2B, which is that this is an old facility that way back in the days, humans used to use it for creating weapons. But now it seems the enemy's using this facility to create machine life forms. And they also get a brief moment where they realize that a lot of these little drone-looking machines that are all standing there doing nothing. And this is something that 9S is pointing out is something they've been seeing a lot of. And while there's no intel that there's some sort of sleep mechanic within these machines, it seems odd they're just standing around. To which, yes, 2B reprimands 9S for all this meaningless chat. Like, is this important to the mission? All right, stop. And he's like, well, I don't get to talk to people often, so I'm really excited. She's like, well, those are emotions that we're not allowed to have. And this all leads to 2B eventually finding this Goliath target they're actually there for, which is big, gigantic crane thing that she quickly is not doing well against, but thankfully 9S shows up and hacks into it, try to disable it. But unfortunately, it wakes back up, knocks out 9S, and he's just about to die, and 2B seemingly is not okay about this. Wants to save 9S's life. But through him telling her, look, this is a mission, soldiers take their pride to battle, go on without me, 2B utilizes 9S's machine in order to fight back. And this all leads to utter failure as more Goliaths show up. And 9S with 2B proposes they use their cores, their black boxes, in order to essentially annihilate everything. It seems as if specifically Yora, which is the type that 2B and 9S are, have these black boxes. And if they collide, it causes a massive explosion. And that all cuts to the bunker where we find 2B reawakens inside there, and she's retained all of her memories. She's been rebuilt, and it seems as if her memories were transferred to the bunker so that she didn't lose anything. And she confronts 9S and thanks him for uploading her data, but unfortunately, 9S did not upload his own. He only focused on uploading 2B's. He'd forgotten everything from the point in which they first rendezvoused, which seems to bother 2B because it seems as if despite the fact that 2B came there with this mentality of get the mission done, no chatter, we're not allowed to have emotions, it seems as if their brief interaction between the two of them and 9S's upbeat nature had an effect on her. So my thoughts on NieR Automata version 1.1a. Really fantastic first episode. Now, I will admit, I'm not a fan of the CGI so far. The later parts were not as bad. It was just really mainly the first segment. The first segment with 2B first coming into the facility. A lot of the water and the backdrops and a lot of this kind of enclosed fog environment really did bug me. But once 2B finally got inside the facility, busted out of her suit, and started fighting, it was just really good animation. Really loving the blend of the 2D art of 2B herself, and yes, mostly kind of CGI environments that she's jumping around in. They did a really good job blending it. And I do really appreciate the fact that they didn't go out of their way to stop the upskirt shots because I think that would just be awkward. It kind of really lets the character's animation flow, her outfit flow, and all the angles really have dynamics to it. But like I said, the later parts of it, the CGI didn't bother me so much. Like the Goliaths and stuff looked really cool and looked really massive, and they did a pretty decent job of making the Goliaths have kind of impact to the environment. When it kind of jumps forward, you kind of see that impact of the environment kind of shaking. Specifically, and I think it's something that kind of carries over from the original work, something that I've always really loved about this particular world is the character designs. I think 2B, 9S, they look absolutely fantastic, and they got some really nice seiyus behind them. NieR Automata has always kind of oozed style, and I've always loved the world that Yoko Taro has kind of breathed life into. Which gets me into the big thing that, again, has always kind of drawn me to want to play the games, and the thing that obviously has already kind of grabbed me about this adaptation. I already love the world that's being built here. It's obviously going for a far distant future where it seems as if mankind's gone and robots have kind of taken over things. And it's already kind of creating a lot of question marks that I'm really curious about. 2B and 9S obviously seem to be androids, based on 9S being cut open and you see a bunch of parts inside of him. As to how much human and how much robot they are is the big question mark. But based on the fact that they're uploading their memories to some sort of database in order to be recreated, obviously indicates that they're pretty much cyborgs or androids altogether. But again, the question mark comes from it is why is there an aspect of emotions and the desire to suppress those emotions? Why do these have emotions when they're not allowed to use the emotions? And yes, already kind of question marking what is the deal with the robots themselves in this world. 2B is questioning why this Goliath is talking. Why is it yelling kill? Why does it sound like it's angry? It doesn't make any sense if they're machines. And they're already kind of sprinkling other things that have got me really curious about, like when they're in the facility itself, the PA system is basically giving out a lot of announcements that you would typically have in a factory. Why is it announcing this stuff when it's a bunch of robots in here? 9S mentioning the fact that it's basically using data to create meaningless callouts. It creates a big question mark as to what exactly is going on in this world. Again, it obviously seems like mankind's gone. It seems as if at least 2B and 9S in this facility are technically working for mankind, as they say at the very end, glory to mankind. So it seems as if they are at least working for the humans. And again, the assumption here is that they're fighting back to reclaim the world that seems to be overtaken by robots. Where are the humans? Are they all gone? That's the big question mark. If I have one misgiving, I would give this first episode, and I think it's probably going to be a product of, yes, the fact that they're adapting a really long video game. The change in 2B was very quick. I mean, we'd basically have one brief conversation with 9S speaking into 2B's ear, and she cuts him off at some point. And then later on, her reprimanding 9S for being excited to finally have somebody to talk to. And then it seems as if, bam, 9S saves 2B's life by stopping this Goliath. And suddenly she's like, thank you, 9S, and then wants to save his life. It seems like it's like really fast that she switches from being the cold-hearted soldier to suddenly caring for somebody. Which again, that could go in the aspect of just a brief introduction of somebody being not cold. Suddenly you realize, oh yes, I do have these feelings, and this dude just saved my life. Obviously, I want to save him. But it doesn't ruin the show. I expect that's probably going to be one of the core features of here, as evident with the whole introduction of the episode itself, showing 2B carrying 9S and talking about this endless war. A world filled with deception and fabrication, endless killing, and a world of despair. Which sort of already implies to me the idea of them constantly being essentially rebuilt and sent back into the battlefield just to die, and then the humans are just rebuilding them to send them back into the battle against the robots. Probably something they created. I know I'm already kind of drawing conclusions. I don't need the confirmations, by the way, in the comments. I know for the source material people, that's always a difficult thing, but sort of implying this idea of like, we're recreating these things to send out to the battlefield when the whole aspect of the robots overtaking mankind was probably their own fault. It was kind of funny at the very end. I'm assuming at the very end of it, it has like one of these pods come up and it says that it's going to enact one of the endings, or they're going to enact all the endings. I think what Yoko Taro had stated is that this was going to be something that was going to be for new and old times fan, acknowledging the idea that they do have multiple endings. So they were going to, my assumption was that they were going to do like an original story for the actual adaptation. And then it seems like they're going to have at the very end show all these other random endings that you can actually run into with a video game. Specifically with this particular episode, apparently at some point you can collide the black boxes inside of the bunker where they're built at and just destroy it. So I don't know what that's about. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the first episode of NieR Automata version 1.1a. Again, like I said, so far, liking a lot of the 2D animation. Some of the CG animation is kind of rough. The music, I forgot to mention, oh my gosh, the music, holy crap, the music just freaking hits, like, right off the bat. Hats off to the music. And I think that's another thing that I've always kind of known has been, like, a staple in the NieR franchise is just absolutely incredible music. There's the chorus and everything like that. It just hit. It hit those scenes so good. Cannot say enough. Music was so good. But no, again, my thoughts on the first episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of this series if you're going to be checking it out. Additionally, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, we have a Patreon link, a tips link, and a super things button down below. Greatly appreciate everybody it does. And y'all take care.